morning, everyone. My name's Ben Conry. We are super excited to have you on this webinar today. My colleague Shahrukh and I will be walking through some digital transformation trends in construction and some of the challenges that we're seeing contractors facing in this new remote world that we're living in. So I'm now going to pass kind of it off to Shahrukh to introduce himself and introduce FlashTrack. So Shahrukh, take it away.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate the introduction. And before I jump into it, again, thank you everyone for your time this morning. If you do have any questions as we go through this, feel free to use the chat functionality or the Q&A functionality, which should be on the bottom of your screen, I believe. And we'll be actively monitoring that for any questions, and we'll both try to respond to them there, but also bring them up as we go through the presentation so that we can answer them for everyone. And we will also have time at the end for Q&A as well. So just to get into it, like Ben said, my name is Shahrukh. I'm the head of product here at FlashTrack. And at FlashTrack, we believe in two principles. One is that everyone deserves an efficient payment and billing process. And the second is that powerful software does not have to be confusing software. And all of that really guides how we focus, our product builds and how we have conversations with our customers. And our real mission at the end of the day is to save everyone in the construction industry time, money, and effort by creating simple and intuitive tools that let you focus on building, which is your core business, and not billing. So now let's just get into it. So as we work in this new normal in the world of COVID and dealing with this ongoing pandemic, we know that it's affected our industry. And we can see it in this ABC report from a few months ago that overall that shows that construction backlog is down by about 13%. We've seen companies face heavy losses in productivity. One study done by the New Horizons Foundation shows a 17.9% decrease in productivity, not just on the job site, but also for everyone in the back office who is now working remotely and trying to adjust to this world where they're not able to walk over to their colleagues and have a conversation with them or take a piece of paper over to their colleague to get it signed, which has led to an overall 7% financial loss. We know for larger organizations, I think I was reading the quarterly report for Skanska, they were facing margin hits of up to 30 to 40% because of the backlog being down and the productivity losses that they were seeing both on site and in the office. So in our industry, where a lot of times the margins are already tight, how do we work through this situation so that we're protecting our profits? And as we think about that, we have to understand that in a lot of cases, remote working is here to stay. Even as we come out of COVID and even pre-COVID, there was a large increase in working from home. So over the past 5 years, we've seen a 44% increase, a 91% increase over the past 10 years. And pre-COVID, at the beginning of this year, there were 4.7 million people in America who were working remotely full time. And so not only do we have to think about how do we facilitate, and protect our profit margins, but we have to think about in the long term, how do we adapt to this in our industry? And how do we make sure that we're using the right approach to enable these folks who may want to work from home or work remotely full time in making sure that they're staying productive and are able to keep up with the business processes? And the answer is that the digital transformation is required to stay ahead. The truth of it is that a lot of the admin work can be done fully remotely, and investing in new technologies will enable them to do their work and be able to do their work more efficiently, so that not only are you supporting and protecting your margins today, but once we come out of the pandemic and we start to see, as we're seeing now, the work start to increase and more people going back onto the job site, the ability to use this technology to grow your margins in the future. And the real key will be taking a look at how can we automate some of our processes so that the technology we're bringing in doesn't just facilitate communication, but also be able to increase productivity through opportunities of automation. So this all sounds great. And the question is, if we want to do this, how do we do this? So Ben and I have put together some tools that we use here at FlashTrack. that help us with our communication, and these same tools we see being used by our customers as well through conversations with them. So Ben, do you want to go ahead and kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, like Shahrukh said, some of these tools are tools that we're actually using at FlashTrack as some of our workforce is working remotely. And then some of these tools are tools that have been brought up in conversations that we have with our customers. So to start out, one of the major challenges that we face in construction is part of our workforce is in the office, part of our workforce is in the field, and now we've just added a third element. Part of our workforce is now at home. And so one of the challenges with having our workforce so spread out is working off of a set of paper-based documents is very challenging because it's very hard to exchange these documents, first off, when we're not in the same location. And then second off, as these documents evolve over time, it's hard to keep everyone on the same page as what's the most up-to-date information on these documents. So one of the tools that we've seen a lot of our customers using right now is a product called PlanGrid. So what PlanGrid is it takes your traditional paper-based construction drawings and it actually allows you to host those on a cloud-based construction platform that's optimized on an iPad or an iPhone. So the advantage of this type of product is it actually allows you, your employees, your specialty contractors, all to be working off the same set of drawings, and it helps prevent confusion or rework due to a lack of communication. And so in this new normal, this new world where we have people working in the office, in the field, and at home, we've seen products like PlanGrid really explode in popularity as a way to eliminate paper construction drawings and plans process in general. So now I'm going to pass it back over to Shahrukh, and he's going to talk a little bit about some communication tools that we use here at FlashTrack.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, communication when working remotely is key. It's really hard to replicate that experience of being able to walk to someone's desk and have an ad hoc conversation with them. And almost just as more importantly, it's hard to replicate the experience of walking to someone's desk and seeing that they're busy and that you'll need to come back later and be able to kind of get a feel for what their schedule looks like by asking them when they're going to be available. So two tools that we use here at FlashTrack, the first is Slack. So Slack is a messaging app and it can be used to replace that direct ad hoc conversation, but it can also be used to replace email communication as well. So a couple of the cool things that I really like about Slack, one is that I can, of course, reach out to any one of my colleagues at any time and shoot them a message. It just sends them a notification and they can respond when they get the time. But Slack also integrates directly with our calendar system. So we use Google Calendar here. You might use Outlook yourself, and there's all sorts of these free add-ons that come with Slack so that I can integrate my Google Calendar with my Slack user, and everyone can see that, hey, I'm sending Shahrukh a message right now, but he's presenting in this webinar, so he may not be able to get back to me. So it starts to replicate that in-office experience and being able to understand where people are and what's going on. On top of that, Slack, you can, of course, have different groups, but you can create what they call channels so that you can create channels for various departments. You can create channels for various teams, cross-functional teams, whatever it looks like, so that it's easy for everybody to share, to collaborate, to send documentation back and forth, and really a good way to organize the team in a way so that everyone is constantly communicating, even though they're not next to each other. The last feature that we use a lot in Slack is everyone makes sure to update their status whenever they're taking a break, because we all take breaks. We take lunch breaks. Someone might want to go for a walk. Someone might need to run a couple errands. And when you're in the office, they might just pop their head in and let you know they're going to be out for 30 minutes or 45 minutes and that they'll be back. And so you're aware of that. Well, on Slack, every time I take a lunch break, I go ahead and say, hey, I'm at lunch. In the status. And so anyone who's trying to reach out to me knows that I might be at lunch, I might be getting a haircut, might be grabbing some groceries, whatever it is, as these sorts of things come up. The second tool we use is Zoom for remote conferencing. Zoom works really well, as you guys will know, using Zoom today. And one of the cool things about Zoom is that it's very easy to set up a free account and just get things started. as long as you keep the meetings to under 45 minutes. And I think that's great because as we work from home and more people attend video conferences and meetings, generally speaking, 45 minutes is actually an ideal time slot for a meeting to make sure that it's kind of focused. Everyone kind of stays on task, gets whatever the topic is gets discussed and gets done, and then has some time to do what they need to do before their next meeting starts. So I've never really ran into a situation where that's been a blocker for us. And the fact that you can start using out Zoom for free makes it really easy to adopt and start implementing immediately. Now I'll pass it back over to Ben to talk a little bit about access to information.
Yeah, thanks, Shahrukh. So like we've seen also, one of the major challenges with remote working also is being able to share information with our colleagues. You know, like Shahrukh was saying in regards to communication, when we were working in the office and we had everyone in the office, it was very easy to pop your head in someone's door and drop off a file, or, you know, specific to FlashTrack, it was easy to pass pay apps from desk to desk to be approved. But right now in this new digital world, when we have employees both in the office and working from home, it's very difficult to share information. So one of the products that we use at FlashTrack, and we also see our customers using today, is a product called Dropbox. So what Dropbox is it's a cloud file management system. So what this allows you to do is set up in the cloud different files and then assign permissions to each file. So what this allows you to do is actually set certain members of your team to see certain levels of information. So you can set up, let's say, specific project folders and invite specific project members to that folder. But you can also have an admin folder, an accounting folder, and just share that with your specific team. So what this allows is flexibility so that people, no matter where they are, can access information, but you also can put in security measures in place to make sure that only the right people are seeing the right information at the right time. Another thing that I really like about Dropbox is, have you ever received an Excel file, maybe from a colleague over email, and they said, hey, will you finish up, you know, maybe sheet 2 in the Excel file? And you say, sure, and you start working on the file. But your colleague, for example, might update a couple numbers in his version of the Excel spreadsheet. So what happens is, because you're working off of 2 different files, and it was just a miscommunication because you're exchanging this information over email, a lot of times it results in duplicate work or missing information. But with Dropbox, you're able to save files in the cloud, so everyone's working off of the same file, so it helps prevent miscommunication in regards of which is the most active, up-to-date master file should we be working off of. In addition, one of the products that we see some of our customers also using today is a product called SharePoint. So, you know, pre-COVID, it was very easy to get everyone to huddle up in the conference room and circle up around a set of drawings, or circle up around, you know, a financial report, and discuss this information in person. But we can't do that anymore. We either have to socially distance while we're in a conference room, or we might not even be in the office and we might be at home, or some people might be in the office. And so because we're not able to communicate as easily and share information as easily, a product called SharePoint, which works very nicely with Office Outlook, allows you to share documents and collaborate in real time. So it helps promote a conference room-like feel as you can talk through information. And like I said, it's a great product. It integrates very nicely into your Outlook accounts. And so it's something that our customers are really loving, and something that I was excited to share with y'all today. So I'm now going to pass it back to Shahrukh to discuss optimizing workflows.
Thanks, Ben. So one of the tools we use here at FlashTrack, and we see some of our customers use, is Trello. And Trello is a way to manage processes across all of your teams. And so one of the cool things about Trello is you can set up what they call a board to mimic different processes you have. So as an example, we have a board for our hiring process. We have a board for our support process. We have a board for our development process. And you can invite people into these various boards so that they can come in, see the process, and then what you can do is you can make it easy for them to then see what tasks are assigned to them. So the manager can come in, they can set up the task, they can assign people to the task, And one of the really, really cool features about Trello is that on each individual task, you can actually upload documents, you can comment back and forth, and it basically facilitates the communication on that specific to-do item while keeping an eye on all the other items that need to get done, and then keeping an eye on where everything is in the process. And of course, you can limit who has access to which board so that people only see what's relevant to them. And it just becomes a really efficient way for any member of the team, not just the manager, but any member of the team to come in, see what's assigned to them, see what's going on, and then be able to check the progress of it as well. Now, of course, this just gets us so far because it's just creating the process and facilitating the process. But what we're still missing on top of Trello is the automation, which really gets you to the finish line and shows you the gains.
So one of the things that we wanted to discuss today, like Shahrukh said earlier on in the presentation, is FlashTrack's a product that's specifically tailored to the construction, billing, and payment process. So we wanted to give you a real example about a process that we saw a number of our customers currently performing before FlashTrack in regards to some of the manual processes it takes to actually process a payment application, and show you what it looks like once automation is put in place and the steps that can be eliminated or expedited with the use of technology. So kind of getting down into the details a little bit here is what I'm about to walk you through is, like I said, a process of what a number of our customers were performing in order to process, review, approve, and post a subcontractor payment application. So many of us know a payment application gets submitted either through email or through the mail. Most of the time, these pay apps are printed off, and then accounting typically has to code these pay requests. They have to track down any backup documentation that was not submitted, such as lien waivers or stored material backup. Project managers most of the times have to review the schedule values, billing totals to make sure that the progress percentages being billed is accurate. Any issues with the pay app are typically resolved with the project manager and the subcontractor, those back and forth emails and phone calls. And then finally, the pay request is approved by all approvers and pay requests are posted to accounting. So like I said, each company we understand is unique and each company has its own process. But for the most part, we've seen this as a pretty standard workflow of what it looks like for most companies. So after our customers have implemented our product, we've actually been able to automate out up to 9 of the manual steps that were currently being performed in their process. So with automation, what you can do is take those manual tasks that are currently being performed and actually allow technology to perform those steps for you. So that's really exciting because in construction, you know, what we make our money on and what we're great at is building relationships, building great projects, working with clients to resolve issues and specialty contractors to work through the details of making this masterpiece. And, you know, we're able with technology to alleviate some of these problems that contractors, you know, have to spend the entire end of the month performing through the use of technology. So what I'll be transitioning into next is actually showing you just a really short presentation on actually how the FlashTrack product works and how we're able to automate or eliminate some of these manual steps that are commonly having to be performed. Some of those common steps that I'll be showing you that we're going to be able to eliminate is actually collecting the pay requests from your subcontractors, collecting any backup documentation, performing any calculations for your subcontractors as well, actually routing all of this paperwork and billing information to the proper approvers without the shuffling of papers from desk to desk. So I will now transition over and we'll just show you a really quick overview of how the FlashTrack product works. So I should be sharing my screen with you now, and it should be showing you the FlashTrack dashboard. So on the FlashTrack dashboard, what we're actually seeing right now are all of the active projects that I'm currently working on. And from this screen, both the general contractor and the subcontractor has a overview of where the project is in the kind of point in time. So how much work has been approved, how much work is actively pending approval. So I'm going to go ahead and click inside a project I set up for us this morning, and I'm actually logged in as a general contractor right now. But don't worry, I will log back in as a subcontractor to show you what it looks like from their perspective. But in our system, from this subcontract overview page, you're able to monitor all of the subcontracts and commitments on your given project and see a quick status of, where these subcontracts are in the billing process. Have they set up their schedule values yet? Have they actually billed you? Is work pending approval? Has work been approved or declined? So you're able to see a high level overview of each subcontract. So if I jump inside a subcontract, I can kind of see a high level overview as well about the contract terms that have been set up by the general contractor. So this is where I can see the subcontract name. I'll ultimately will assign this to one of my vendors. I'll see the subcontract number, the original contract sum, the retainage rate. All of this information is just pre-set up and then assigned to the subcontractor. In addition, in our system, you can set up customizable requirements and rules for certain documents that you would like to collect as part of the submission process. So in our system, you're able to set up what we call controlled requirements. So what a controlled requirement is where you're actually able to set up a required document. So I'll say, I want to collect an application for payment every time my subcontractor submits a bill. And then I select a template that I would like to collect this application for payment on. So in FlashTrack, you can use both our default templates and our custom templates. So for example, I want to collect this pay app on an AIA style pay app, and I put a rule in place for when I would like to collect this requirement. So for a pay app, I'd like to collect this every bill submission, and I simply click add controlled requirement. So at a high level, I've already set up some requirements just to show you what it looks like. So I've set up an application for payment, partial conditional lien waiver, a final conditional lien waiver, and then I also set up stored material photos that will be uploaded if the specialty contractor bills for stored materials. So the last step is I'll just need to invite a vendor to this particular subcontract and send out the invitation. And now my subcontractor will receive an email invitation inviting them to this particular project. So I'm now going to log out and log back in as a subcontractor to show you what it looks like for them to actually bill you through FlashTrack system. So the subcontractor receives a email invitation, and when they log in, they see the project that they've been invited to. So after accepting the project invitation, they're taken to their subcontract overview page where they see their particular subcontract that they've been invited to. After clicking on that subcontract, they see all of the contract details already pre-set up by the general contractor. They see all of the required documents that they'll need to submit as part of the billing process. So after they have reviewed that information, they will accept the contract invitation, and now they'll actually set up their schedule values inside our system. So in order to do that, they just add items manually. They'll type in a description of work and then a schedule value for that particular line item, and they will actually build their schedule values inside of FlashTrack. So after they have set up their schedule values, the subcontractors will now actually click the Ready to Bill button, and they will key in the work that they would like to bill for this particular pay period. So they just key in a progress percentage and then click Save Changes. And FlashTrack performs all the calculations for the subcontractor, and they now click Review Documents and Submit Bill. So in FlashTrack system, you can see here, this is where we're actually able to auto-populate and generate any required documents that the general contractor would like to collect. So I'm going to just take a moment here. One of the challenges that FlashTrack has identified is, one, each general contractor has their own set of required documents or rules that subcontractors need to follow in order to get paid. And one of the problems that we see for subcontractors is each general contractor has their own set of rules, and a lot of times it's difficult to know, what required documents you use for each general contractor. So the beauty of FlashTrack system is we actually allow the general contractor to set the rules, set the required documents, and then the subcontractor can just electronically sign any required documents as part of the billing process using a unique 4-digit PIN. We'll generate an application for payment. And then the subcontractor is actually able to just submit the bill electronically with all the proper backup documentation directly to the general contractor. So now after the subcontractor has submitted, you can see the status changes to pending approval, and we actually route this pay request directly to the proper approver at the general contractor. So I will now simply just show you what it looks like to approve a pay request in our system as a general contractor. So I can log in, I see work that's actively pending my approval. So I'll click on that particular project. I can see the status of all of my subcontracts and commitments. I click on the subcontract, I review the schedule values, and if everything looks correct, I can approve the pay request with a click of a button, and we'll automatically route the pay request to the next approver or directly to your accounting department. So what I wanted to show you kind of through this presentation was just kind of highlighting how FlashTrack is able to automate a lot of the manual processes that are currently being performed each month. So just to kind of reiterate kind of some of the elements that you saw today was how FlashTrack's able to actually automatically perform calculations, as well as how we're able to provide a more efficient approval process with online collaboration, and actually how we're able to electronically create and store all required documents. That's just some of the elements of the system that you just saw. So what we'd like to do is, we've been talking for a long time now. We wanted to just show you a customer success video. It's about 2 minutes long, just so you can kind of hear from a real contractor what it's like to work with FlashTrack and what billing automation has done for them. After that, we'll be opening it up to questions. So I'm now going to start the video, and we'll transition to questions after the video.
The A.M. Higley Company is a 95-year-old construction management company headquartered in Cleveland, Ohio, with about 125 employees, and we work with about 137 subcontractors.
Before FlashTrack, there was a lot of back and forth emails with the subcontractors and changes, having to scan those in. Things trickle in past the cutoff date or really early and might get lost in the shuffle.
Prior to FlashTrack, everything was just paper documents, and we had a lot of double entry as it was being sent to our project management team as well as our finance team, and the inefficiencies needed to be eliminated, so that's why we went to FlashTrack.
We had been looking at several platforms previously. We were contacted by FlashTrack. Our director of finance introduced it to the rest of our team, and once he did the introduction, we realized this is what we needed to go with.
One of the biggest problems we had with A.M. Higley is moving the team forward with cultural changes and internal administrative buy-in and integration into our current processes.
The fears that we had mostly were that these subcontractors were going to have a little bit of struggle, especially the ones that were currently running on a project in the transition, but everything has gone seamlessly.
The rollout was pretty easy. We just did some training, some quick trainings for us, and the forms are similar, and the screens look similar, and I think the process was just really simple.
We had several training sessions held for our accounting team, as well as our project management team, and then our subcontractors team.
So there was more than adequate training, and anytime anybody asked for additional training, FlashTrack was more than willing to do it.
The benefits we received after implementing FlashTrack is the quality of the work that's coming through, the efficiency from our internal teams, and the satisfaction from our subcontractors.
I've always believed in software. I think it's the way the industry is going. It is something that is definitely growing in the industry, and I would recommend for everybody to talk to FlashTrack because they've made it affordable and practical to do it.
Here at A.M. Higley, we value innovation, and we've used FlashTrack as a tool to help us retain talent and to continue to grow as a company.